Everybody, Josh Sigurdson, World Alternative Media here, and of course we're joined by author and economic analyst here at WAM, John Sneisen, and it's no child's play here when we're looking at Toys R Us, which now it appears that they will be closing most, if not all, of their stores in the next year or so. There's a few reasons for this. We're going to go into that in a moment, but looking at this article from Zero Hedge, it says Toys R Us is preparing to liquidate, and it mentions that less than 6 months after Toys R Us shockingly filed for Chapter 11, its bonds tumbled from par to pennies on the dollar in under a month. And you could see the chart there. It's absolutely astonishing. And going into the fact that it was LBOed for $6.6 billion in 2005 by KKR Bain Capital and Vornado Realty Trust, and entered bankruptcy in September due to unsustainable leverage, the speed of its failure taking even the most seasoned professionals by surprise. Its goal was to emerge as a leaner business with fewer stores, a more sustainable debt load, and the ability to fight Amazon and other online retailers. And there's a few reasons why this has all failed. As we saw over the Christmas season, it failed hardcore. And one of the reasons is, the massive automation that we're seeing spring up everywhere, and these government subsidized monopolies like Amazon, which has basically taken over the entire market and pushing retailers out of business. And then at the same time, there's another big reason, and that is that the average person, the average parent, can't afford to go buy a bunch of useless junk toys that cost a fortune at Toys R Us. They're much more likely to go to a place like Dollarama, the dollar store, Walmart, get toys from there. A place like Toys R Us is a luxury kind of store that is kind of going extinct because, you can get off the internet, and in the end, like, why would you want to go to a store and spend, $70 on a piece of plastic that lasts for 2 weeks when your kid gets interested in something else? It's just more important to get food on the table and pay the rent and pay the taxes that are pushing so many people into poverty. The middle class is dying. That's a main reason for all of this insanity. John, can you go into what's going on and like this update on what exactly is going to be happening to Toys R Us in the near future?
Well, Toys R Us are bankrupt. They're going to be bought up by another company. Who knows which company it's going to be? We have no clue. But what is interesting, you're talking about the underlying causes. There's actually even a real underlying cause of all those causes, which is the fiat currency system and the destruction of the value of the currency, the US dollar, Canadian dollar, whatever it is. That is the underlying factor here, that you have a dollar that's constantly losing its value all the time. You have Toys R Us having to pay money to their shareholders in order to keep up with everything, and then of course the cost to buy the toys and so on from all the providers that they have, and it's just way too much of an overlay compared to Amazon, for example, that are buying dirt cheap labor and dirt cheap the things that are falling apart within days.
Yeah, and people are lazy. They'd rather just sit at home and wait for things to be delivered to them like royalty, but meanwhile pay a lot less. And like looking at Toys R Us stores, I mean, it's not 2005 anymore when people were buying luxury sports cars. They had all this spendable money that they don't have anymore, not these days. After the 2007-2008 bubble burst, people just can't keep up with that kind of stuff anymore, and the governments are absolutely decimating remaining middle class that's in existence. So it's either rich people who aren't going to go to Toys R Us, or poor people who can't afford to go to Toys R Us. The middle class, which usually went to Toys R Us, doesn't really quite exist anymore. So people are kind of cutting back costs, buying little presents for their kids from other stores like Walmart, etc. And of course, with the automation and the the digital technology that's coming out these days, you see 8-year-olds with smartphones, so they don't need a board game anymore. They don't need that little helicopter game where it goes around on a stick and, oh wow, so much fun. Kids are easily distracted. That kind of stuff doesn't really excite kids anymore. You can't play on a little rocking horse anymore. It's just not like it used to be. So that kind of stuff is outdated. Toys R Us tried to sell more digital kind of stuff going into recent days, but it's just they couldn't keep up, and this is the result of basically them not innovating enough, and the fact that the individuals don't have enough money to be going and paying a whole bunch of money at Toys R Us for cheap junk that is way overpriced.
Well, I think there's actually a buyer that is looking to buy up everything. Actually, I think he's just looking to get all the toys. I heard it's Trudeau Enterprises over here in Canada that is looking at bailing them out.
Wants to play with all the little puppets.
You are now part of Hut Club! Yeah!
little unicorns, it's his favorite little toy to play with. So
you can play with his Tonka truck. Good, little Trudeau. Obviously, that's not happening, but it's like it's ridiculous. Yeah, just donate it all to the Trudeau Foundation.
Yeah, we should. But anyways, back to the seriousness. So this is just a symptom that's out there of the underlying economy that is kind of faltering, and people are having less and less money because their dollars that they earn is making less and less. And of course, what are you going to see? Well, you've seen it since 2008, the rise of the dollar stores, Dollarama. I don't know all the names, but I know there's like all over the UK, Canada, the US.
Bargains shop, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and then we see the fall of like Target, Sears, Zellers, The Bay, etc.
Yeah, but the problem is you get what you pay for. And that's what you're going to see with this. It's just a bunch of garbage that they literally are selling at most of these stores. So again, you're just buying, like, quality is just going through the toilet with that. And that's the thing with fiat currency. In order to keep up the capital in these companies, they have to go to garbage things and sell garbage in order to be able to, pay their investors. So that's the thing. But it was not the corporations that are really evil here. What is happening is the underlying fiat currency system that is eviscerating their capital on top of it. So,
and of course, the government intervention through regulations and taxes, pushing small businesses out of the market, propping up major monopolies, and they put billions of dollars over the years into Amazon, and Amazon has been propped up to really take out all the competition. They're selling groceries now too, which is really hurting a lot of the big grocery retailers. We're seeing a lot in the last few years of the big grocery retailers being bought up by bigger grocery retailers and just conglomerates that are just taking over everything.
Well, yeah, it was just a complete centralization of everything. And now you're seeing, we're going to see a move after this collapse to decentralization again. And the free market hopefully will win back the populace and people who understand that the government should stay the hell out of anything to do with the markets. And maybe we finally, get to see something that is going to be sustainable for the future, because they're talking about sustainability, but it's all about the government is so unsustainable that it's strangling every piece of the economy. And together with the fiat currency system, both of them are just destroying every single free market idea that's left there.
Yeah, absolutely. A free market is a prosperous one, a free market that's based on individual demand of the individual's dollar. Your vote with your dollar is far more efficient than anything the government can do. Anything the government does, the free market can do better. And basically, it comes down to you as individuals too. So, all fiat currency eventually reverts to its intrinsic value of zero. It always has, always will, going back to 1024 AD in China. This is all going to come down, but we're going to see a lot of bloodshed in the markets before we see any true prosperity coming from the free market level, because government and banks are insanely manipulating everything we see today on Earth. There's really nowhere you could look without it. So
just one final solution. How about Toys R Us just get into $1 trillion of debt and buy back their own shares, and then they're liquid again and they can continue business?
Sounds familiar. Anyway, thanks for going into this with us, John. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson and John Sneisen signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth,
be the change.
Like what you see here at WAM, don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so vastly demonetized and censored by YouTube, as the ADL comes in and flags all of our content as hate speech. You can also find our Bitcoin address in the description as well as on the screen for you to scan, if you please. And don't forget to find us at Josh Sigurdson at steemit.com. That's steemit.com, the future of social media, where you get paid in the upvote of your post in cryptocurrency, Steem that is. So don't forget to find us there. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
Bye.